Hi, welcome back to SQL Database Administration Hub. Today, we're talking about recovery models. This is one of the most important concepts a SQL Server DBA needs to understand because your recovery model determines how much data you can recover when something goes wrong. Let's break it down clearly. Every database in SQL Server has a recovery model, and that recovery model controls two things: how the transaction log behaves and what recovery options are available to you after a failure. Choosing the wrong recovery model for a database can mean the difference between recovering all your data and losing hours worth of transactions. In this video, we'll cover the three recovery models: simple, full, and bulk logged, what makes each one different, and how log truncation works in each case. By the end, you'll know exactly which recovery model to use and when. Let's start with the simple recovery model, the most straightforward of the three. In simple recovery model, SQL Server automatically truncates the transaction log whenever a checkpoint occurs. A checkpoint is an internal process where SQL Server flushes dirty pages from memory to disk. Once a checkpoint happens, the log space used by committed transactions is marked as reusable automatically. No log backups required. This makes simple recovery model very easy to manage. Your log file stays small and you never have to worry about log backups. However, there's a significant trade-off. Because the log is constantly being truncated, you cannot perform log backups. And without log backups, you cannot do a point-in-time restore. This means if your database fails at 3 p.m. and your last full backup was at midnight, you will lose everything that happened between midnight and 3 p.m. Simple recovery model is appropriate for databases where some data loss is acceptable: development databases, test environments, or databases that hold data which can be easily rebuilt from another source. It is never appropriate for production databases where data loss is not an option. The full recovery model is what most production databases should use, and it's the one you'll work with most often as a DBA. In full recovery model, SQL Server keeps a complete record of every transaction in the log. Nothing gets automatically truncated after you take a log backup. It gets automatically truncated. The log only gets truncated after you take a log backup, and even then, as we discussed in the last video, truncation just marks space as reusable rather than shrinking the file. The major advantage of full recovery model is point-in-time recovery. Because every transaction is recorded, you can restore a database to any specific moment in time, right up to the point of failure. If a developer accidentally deletes a table at 2:47 p.m., you can restore the database to 2:46 p.m. and recover that data. That capability is invaluable in production environments. The trade-off is that you must have a regular log backup schedule. Without it, the transaction log will grow indefinitely because SQL Server is holding on to all that log data waiting for a backup to occur. As a DBA, running log backups every 15 to 60 minutes is standard practice in full recovery model environments. To check or change a database's recovery model, right-click the database in SSMS, select Properties, go to Options, and look for the recovery model dropdown. The third recovery model is bulk logged, and it's a special purpose model that most DBAs use only temporarily. Bulk log recovery model behaves almost identically to full recovery model with one key difference: certain bulk operations
are logged minimally rather than fully. These bulk operations include things like
select into, bulk insert, and index rebuilds. By logging these operations minimally, bulk log recovery model allows them to run significantly faster and generate far less log data. The trade-off is that point-in-time recovery is not available during periods when bulk operations have occurred. If a failure happens after a bulk operation, your restore options become more limited. The typical use case for bulk logged is to temporarily switch from full recovery model before running a large data load or index maintenance operation, then switch back to full recovery model immediately afterward. This gives you the performance benefits of minimal logging without permanently giving up your point-in-time recovery capability. Let's quickly tie everything together with log truncation. Log truncation is the process of marking transaction log space as reusable. In simple recovery model, truncation happens automatically at each checkpoint. There's no action needed from you. In full recovery model, truncation only happens after a successful log backup. This is why log backups are not optional in full recovery model. They are essential for log space management. In bulk log recovery model, truncation also happens after log backups, just like full recovery model. One important thing to remember: truncation does not reduce the size of the log file on disk. It simply frees up space inside the file for reuse. If you need to reclaim disk space by shrinking the log file, that's a separate operation, and one you should do carefully and infrequently. And that's recovery models explained clearly. To recap, simple recovery model automatically manages the log but limits you to full and differential restores only, making it suitable for non-critical databases. Full recovery model keeps a complete transaction history, enables point-in-time recovery, and requires regular log backups. To manage log growth, this is the right choice for most production databases. Bulk logged recovery model is a temporary performance optimization for bulk operations that you switch to and from as needed. Understanding recovery models is the foundation of everything we'll cover in the backup and restore section of this course, so make sure this clicks before you move on. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and I'll see you there.
Generous Academy.